Hi everyone, it's Simon here with a review of Jupiter and Mars. Jupiter and Mars came out last week for PlayStation 4 and PlayStation VR. However, all of the footage here will be from the non-VR version, and I can't comment on the VR experience itself as I do not own PSVR. Jupiter and Mars, though, is a 3D exploration game which reminds me very much of if Abzu and Tron had a baby and it was a fetch quest. It's probably the best way that I can describe this game in a nutshell. You control two dolphins, essentially Jupiter and Mars, the titular characters. You'll be physically inside one of the dolphins and swimming around and using your sonar radar essentially to beep out and find out what's kind of in front of you throughout the murky, bleached out waters that have inhabited the world. And then occasionally more than occasionally, you'll use the symbol buttons, the X, square, triangle, circle, to basically do some stuff from yourself, but also to remotely control the other dolphin that will kind of swim around with you and follow you around, do little interactions in front of you to camera, but is also very useful for smashing open rocks, digging up buried treasure, and so on and so forth as you kind of go through these different landscapes. There's 5 worlds, I think, in all, but they're all basically flooded out central cities. So me being from the UK, the London one was really good for me because I could see all the different landmarks, swim around them, and so on and so forth. And as you go through and unlock more and more abilities for your dolphins, you start to be able to flow against tides that are swimming towards you. You can dive deeper as well. So essentially it rewards you going back and replaying levels again, because you'll be able to see more of each environment as you return back with a more powered up dolphin buddy group as you play through. The game itself looks amazing. I love the way how the art is Abzu has a baby with Tron, because it's got like psychedelic stuff on all of the animals that's going on, so it feels like dreamlike / disco / Eurovision and really funky, and the music kind of backs that up because it's kind of dancey in a light-hearted, almost Scandinavian way, but actually when you're in the environment itself, there's plenty of stuff that's going around and moving around it, and it feels like an alive ocean. Not quite to the same level of depth as Abzu, and apologies that I keep bringing up Abzu, but it's just these two games do work in parallel to each other, for me personally anyway. Much more than the original, it's Echo the Dolphin, did when people were starting to comment on the games beforehand. It doesn't really feel like that, even though the stories are more similar. But yeah, the idea essentially is that you go into each of these worlds and you're busy restoring life back into each of the areas that you go into. Now you do this essentially by different versions of fetch quests and treasure finding, and you'll use your sonar radar to kind of burst out, and everything will be kind of wireframey, and then as you come towards it in real life it will kind of paint itself back in again, and I quite like that idea. But it will be like turtles are stuck in the mud and then you need to find them and bring them back to their mother. There's a really cool section in the London level where you've got this mammoth whale, blue whale, who's lost its child, and then you've got to try and like keep the child in safety away from a shark that's trying to eat it. It's much less in depth than what I've made that sound, but it still keeps you very much into the story and like running along. And then the rest of it will be basically getting your other dolphin partner to smash open shells and boxes so that you can find these different treasures or secret passages that unlock as you kind of revolve around landscapes, to then upgrade abilities which then let you get further, which then builds out more treasure. And that's kind of where a lot of the trophies and achievements come from, is finding all of these different treasures that are hidden around everywhere. And that kind of brings me to the really only mute point that I have with Jupiter and Mars, and that is that because it's kind of meandery in what you can and can't do, and areas are kind of presented in a section that you can kind of swim around but kind of eventually work out what you're supposed to be doing, depending on if you found that as you swim around. I spent quite a lot of time with Jupiter and Mars lost. Now, I was loving it because you can just simply use it almost like a relaxing screensaver and be like, ah, so cute. Or just swim around and enjoy your time with it. But actually, when I was looking to think, right, well, now I want to do some game progression, particularly in the more expansive levels that things get as you get later on through the game, I was actually struggling to work out where I was supposed to go and what I was supposed to do. And the issue around that is because it stems back to you needing to use the sonar regularly to basically keep on bumping out this sonar to kind of go, right, what's new? What can be interacted with? Where can I go? And often levels start to, because it's all blue, it starts to bleed into each other. So there's like a mini skill behind the scenes of like map building. And I almost feel like this game could have really been much simpler if a map was included in the game itself, as opposed to you having to like mentally think, right, well, this looks familiar, I've been here before. And I appreciate that probably makes me a lazy gamer, but in some of the levels I was starting to get a bit frustrated where I was running around in circles and I just couldn't work out where I was supposed to go next and what I was supposed to be doing, because it's particularly vague if you haven't triggered what your next goal is because you've not found it. Hope that makes sense. It's a bit of an abstract like negative, but when you're in the game you kind of go because just things don't trigger necessarily. The gameplay itself is really, really light, but that kind of lends itself quite well to the experience. There's also a really nice section in there as well about some of the charities that have put their name to this game, which is around global warming and animal preservation and water and ocean preservation as well. So if you want to just find out more information about that, there's some videos that are attached with the game too. So Jupiter and Mars, it's out now. I would give it a recommendation, but I think just know going in that you're going to spend a lot of time kind of swimming around going, what am I going to do next? But that you won't necessarily be brain engaged challenge-wise in terms of the puzzles. It's a relaxing game. I really enjoy my time with it. It's just, it wasn't quite the, oh my god, I'm going to explode with joy and emotion that I had from, say, Abzu. So thanks for watching. You guys take care. Bye for now. This channel is just one of my many projects that cover games, music and film. If you enjoy any of these and would consider supporting me to develop further in the future, you can do so by visiting patreon.com/Satorimon. Thank you for your time and for watching the video.